This week wasn't about earnings or inflation. It was about a global smash up between the dollar, gold, and silver. When the dollar suddenly rallies and safe havens like gold and silver plunge hard, markets start asking, is risk really gone or just hiding? In this video, we'll show you what actually drove this move, how markets are reacting, and what you should watch next. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's video. First of all, we have the dollar rebound after Fed news. We had gold and silver massively reverse their earlier rally after President Trump announces a new Fed chair nominee, which boosted expectations of a stronger dollar and hawkish monetary stance. So we're yet to see how that particularly plays out in the market, but they are fairly looking forward to this new Fed. And even though Trump has said that they haven't discussed whether rates are going to go down or not, I think it's fairly clear as to why he would appoint this particular Fed. And hopefully it's more in the benefit of risk assets in the future, but we'll just have to wait and see. Um, Next thing we have up is, and you can see over here that the DXY was setting some real lows, but it had recovered throughout the week over here. So definitely looks like the news had some impact in the market. Next up, we have, which is the relevant news regarding the gold and silver flash crash. We all possibly have seen already gold was setting these beautiful highs throughout this particular week, and then it just got hammered down. And silver, even a more scary chart over here, was making some massive moves up and hammered down even more than gold, in my opinion. I think this was the worst performing shitcoin or altcoin of the week. So definitely a very interesting review or response there. Another very important news that we should discuss. We do have the US government starting their partial shutdown. Now, the good news is, after hours of delay, they did pass a spending package on a bipartisan vote. So that's pretty good. Now, they have had to go on a partial shutdown on Saturday, but looks like the new vote is going to take into effect as of Monday. So hopefully everything comes back into operations and that looks good for the market, because last time this happened, it was for a record 43 days and it definitely cost the US economy and at the same time the stock markets to run out of liquidity. So hopefully this time everything gets back up and running as of Monday and we don't have a market scare. And lastly, I read a very funny quote this week, and I thought this would be the perfect chart to just give a general review on, is that when gold is pumping, Bitcoin doesn't move. But then when gold is dumping, Bitcoin dumps with it. And that one really hurt. As a crypto lover, I thought, why not review a chart of Bitcoin versus gold? Because that would be a perfect explanation. And you can just see over here that over time, Bitcoin has definitely been losing strength against gold. And we, even though in the MACD and some of the instances, we definitely come close to cleaning that up or seeing a reversal. Right now, it does not look very hopeful at all. So, as tiresome and stressful as it is for any of you who are in crypto, I definitely feel your pain and I'm here with you. But it's just about waiting and see what the monetary situation looks like as we progress ahead. And, Steve's going to go into some insights as to how gold rally is looking and whether that could be rotational for other assets. But yeah, it's definitely not an easy time. On that topic, I'll pass it on over to you, Steve. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, we'll go on to gold firstly, as we were talking about that originally. So I'll start sharing my screen as well. Right away from the start, I've actually made the time zone US time to begin with this time around. So to make things a little bit easier to comprehend. This is firstly the gold futures chart. And as you can see, there was that initial plummet that happened right away in terms of from Thursday and Friday. So overall, it really decimated quite a lot in relation to the unit price in terms of the gold overall. So you can have a look at from the gold futures or from the gold unit ETF. Either way, they both don't look very, very pretty at all. And as you can see as well, the baseline, that being that red on the Ichimoku, has been broken on both of those. So that is basically suggesting that the support level has basically been ripped apart overall there. The situation in terms of silver looks even worse. Okay. So is this much of a surprise from what we were discussing earlier in the week? Not really, because when we were talking about things from that perspective, when we were looking at the moving averages, we were already seeing some divergence away from even the short-term moving averages. And we were also talking about the options volatility being quite extreme at that point in time. So overall, when there are extremities in terms of options volatility, well, overall there you are expecting a bit of a snapback that goes on. This much of a snapback though? No, that's okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't think anyone was expecting this much of a snapback, because really, I've heard some commentary in the media basically saying that this much of a snapback in terms of gold hasn't been seen since the 80s, and this much of a snapback in silver has not been seen since the 50s. Okay, that is extreme to the extremes. So overall, this is quite a lot in one day. All right, so it's absolutely massive. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. So look, this is just completely off the charts. We've had some really, really massive drops. So overall, 31% in one day in silver is just absolutely huge. There is no doubt about that at all. And when we're talking about gold, we're looking at about 11% in one day there as well.
Mm,
This is unprecedented. And I hate using that word. So
mm,
anyone who knows me really knows I hate that word. So that's huge. Now, when we're talking about the relationship to Bitcoin, now we only have to go back to what we were discussing earlier in the week there as well and have a look at that. The support levels that we've been on the charts have not added these. Like I said earlier in the week as well, these support levels have not been added to the charts. We were discussing these videos ago. Like I'm talking about 2, 3, 4 videos ago, these support levels were on there and we were discussing these support levels way back then. This support level was broken on Thursday, US time. A lot of the media commentary were basically saying, oh no, it's all because of Governor Walsh being basically brought in. No, not at all. Okay.
mm,
He was announced on Friday. Okay.
mm,
This is well after him. This has nothing to do with him. Okay. It's media hype. We need to separate ourselves away from the media, take a look at what's going on the charts. The charts tell the story, right? I've always said this before. You know this very well from me, Ash.
mm,
The charts tell the story. A lot of people poo-poo technical analysis. Yes, they do. But this has all been here. This basically is here, and it was broken well here. You can even see back here, there's a technical break here in terms of this particular support level here. That's broken, okay? Simple as that. It's been broken here. The support level here from back in 2025 is broken in terms of Bitcoin. You go to Ethereum, same deal. Technical support from September 2021 was broken. When was it broken? Thursday, not Friday, Thursday. Okay, so it was broken well before this governor was announced. Okay, so put that theory to rest in terms of what the media is saying. Switch off all the media, get rid of all that stuff. The charts are telling the story. The charts have been telling the story since 2021. I rest my case. It's
mm.
all here. Okay, it's all here. It's all as simple as all that. Okay. Now, that's all in terms of things there. Now, if it's all related in terms of gold to Bitcoin and all those kind of things there, all right, fine. The correlation may exist until it doesn't. Does it matter? No, support's broken. Now, whether the correlation exists or not, okay, fine. It could, whatever. Doesn't matter. But the mere fact of the matter is, this is the circumstance right now. Let's go take a look at the indexes. What are the indexes doing? Now, this is the important stuff. Why does it matter? Because take a look at what's really going on. I'm going to enlarge this. What's really happening in relation to the indexes is we're now starting to actually go beneath the short-term moving averages. Now, that's
Mm,
important, okay? When we start going beneath that, then what's actually potentially going on is we may actually keep on falling beneath that unless we start recovering. The SPY, not so bad yet. The Q's getting a little bit worse. But what's really going on and what really hasn't been paying attention all that much is the Dow actually looks even worse. Okay? But what's even worse than that is the Russell. The Russell, the small caps. Small caps are more influenced by rates decisions. Why? Why does that matter? Well, it really matters because in terms of rates, in terms of the interest rates, these are very, very prone to interest rates actual problems because they're really, really prone to interest rate rises
Mm.
should that actually occur. So keep an eye on the bonds as well. That's the important part there. So that really wraps up all of the charts overall for this particular week in terms of how everything interrelates with each other. So I hope that helps out a lot in terms of things there. Now, what does this mean in terms of conservative, aggressive, long-term investors? Well, in terms of everything that's been going on with gold and silver and everything along those lines there, keep a look at your plan, especially in terms of long-term investors. That's the big thing. Is your plan still intact? If it's not, well, then basically keep an eye on in terms of what you do with your plan. Do you need to adjust that plan? In terms of conservative investors and aggressive investors, have a look at all of those things that were basically just aligned in terms of all of those charts we looked at there. Can you see any potential opportunities that may be arising from those charts overall there? You can basically see whether or not any of those particular indices themselves are stronger or weaker, and then you might be able to take a look at certain sectors where you might be able to take advantage of in one way or the other, be that in terms of investing long or investing short. And with that, my friend, I'll pass it right back to you.
Thank you for that there, Steve. Um, This week's violent dollar bounce and precious metals reversal shows markets are debating confidence versus fear. And we watch that fight, not the headlines. Comment DXY or risk below and tell us what asset you think leads next, gold, stocks, or crypto.
Mm.
Remember, this isn't financial advice. It's just how we think about markets. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.